Hey everybody, it's Drew Hudson from 198 Methods, and I want to give you a quick update on some of the work we've been doing around this Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, or BOEM, comment period on the Trump administration's offshore drilling plan. And I've got two ways for you to help. One, we have a new comment form, whether you've signed a petition with us or another group in the past, or if you haven't. This is the comment form for you. You have it until this Friday, March 9th, to send in a public comment. And we've got a new form in collaboration with some of our partners at Daily Kos and Action Network, which actually will kind of hotwire your comment straight through to the folks at BOEM. Second thing you can do, if you haven't already, is chip in to support this work. As I'll explain more in just a second, we've been doing a lot of stuff, traveling to different states for hearings, helping other groups organize speakouts to keep doing this work and to carry through the end of this comment period strong, make sure everybody's comments get delivered and that as many comments as we can get delivered. So that's the real short version. Now a little bit more context and background for those of you who haven't been keeping up on this stuff. So at the very start of the year, very early in January, you may have heard Ryan Zinke, Trump's Secretary of Interior, announce this plan to really radically open America's coast to offshore drilling. Over 90% of America's coastal waters would be open to oil and gas drilling on this plan. It is far and away the most extreme offshore drilling plan ever proposed by a U.S. president in the modern era. It also is kind of crazy the way that they rolled this plan out. They very quickly offered this clearly political exemption just for the state of Florida, just because Rick Scott met with Ryan Zinke personally in a back room in Florida to ask for it. So they are required by law to have a 60-day comment period, and that's what we've been organizing in for the last couple of weeks. And in particular, already, over 14,000 198 Methods supporters have sent in comments to BOEM opposing that. But we didn't just want you to comment online. So we did that. We have already gone to hearings in South Carolina and North Carolina and supported actions in a bunch of other states where people got out and refused basically to comply with the BOEM process. I got on a chair at a hearing in the South Carolina and spoke out in opposition to the drilling plan, and later was quoted in a Washington Post story as a result of that action. Similarly, we went up to North Carolina and worked with folks from the North Carolina Alliance to protect people in places that we live, a group we've worked with on the Atlantic Coast pipeline fight. And those folks did a speak out action on the floor of BOEM that disrupted the hearing as well. There have been similar actions in places like Rhode Island, where our old friend Tim DeChristopher did a great job, not only taking over the BOEM hearing, but turning it into the hearing that we want and need. Briefly, there's sort of three reasons why we think that's really important to do and why we think that kind of advocacy really works. First thing is, we've always said at 198 Methods, we're sort of inspired by the Gene Sharp model. Our name is taken from a pamphlet Gene Sharp famously wrote at the Albert Einstein Institute. And so we want to bring those same kind of strategies and tactics, that anti-authoritarian mentality, to the way that we campaign for climate action here in the U.S. By refusing to behave within the bounds of that system, we create a different dynamic, and we put BOEM on notice that they're going to have to decide. The employees in that room and the employees who went to all these different hearings have to choose whether they're going to be with the polluters or they're going to be with the people who are overwhelmingly opposed to offshore drilling, and that's already been demonstrated by the public comments that we've submitted. Second reason why we do this style of organizing is really for the people who are already involved in the process. And I'm thinking in particular here, not just of those of us who sent in comments or came to hearings, thank you to all the people who did that, but also our allies at places like the Sierra Club and Oceana, a lot of whom organized really good but very inbounds kind of actions. It was a lot of the same kind of rallies and lobbying opportunities that they had organized under the Obama administration. The conventional wisdom right now is that there's no amount of signatures or testimony or learned scientific stuff that we could bring to Donald Trump that would convince him not to drill off our coasts. To our allies who are, again, engaged in the process, doing the good faith stuff of lobbying and testifying and being a voice of reason. But if that isn't enough, which we don't think it will be, they now know that there is this other stuff that we can do. And then the last reason why we do it really is for people who are not yet involved in this process at all. And it's fundamentally the reason why you ever do direct action campaigning, why you take yourself and you put yourself in the way of this system of injustice. And that more importantly, we're at our best, we're at our most powerful when we act collectively. There was this really interesting moment in both the hearings I went to and spoke out in South Carolina and North Carolina, where when we stood up in this hearing room and said, we are here to disrupt this hearing, people clapped. Everybody in the room was opposed to offshore drilling who didn't work for BOEM. And so they were excited when somebody got up and said, this whole thing is messed up and we need a better plan and we need a better system. And just the courage of somebody getting up and saying that stuff really changed the dynamics in the room. And it was I love this video from Tim DeChristopher in Rhode Island. Go take a look at it in the blog post. Because, in the full, it took like hours. It starts with just him and a couple people standing up and speaking out. But over the course of a few hours and around, they become the public comment period. And people are signing up, with Tim's clipboard, in this hearing room to make their public speak out. But, that kind of shift in modality is only possible when we stand up and speak out and when we take for ourselves our power as citizens. So again, that's what's been going on. We're coming to the very end. There are just a few more of the public hearings left. We'll put a listing of them below this in the comments. But most importantly, if you can this week, if you like what we've said, if you like the footage of the rallies that you've seen, make sure that first you go send another public comment or your first public comment. Send a comment through the new action form with us and Daily Kos and all the other partners. That'll go right to BOEM. Second thing that's really important, if you can, please chip in to support the work that we're doing at 198. If every person who has signed a public comment chipped in $1.98, we could power all of our operations for 6 months. Not everybody can make a donation, so if you're in a position where you're able to chip in a little bit, please do that, and please consider making a donation weekly or monthly on some sort of recurring timetable. As little as $1.98 is enough to keep us going, but if you can give more, that's great. And every little bit keeps us moving between actions, gives us the power to support more direct actions in more places, and to keep doing this style of advocacy as the next phase of this offshore drilling plan rolls out after March 9th. So again, from all of us here at 198 Methods, thanks so much for being part of this, and have a great week.